To perform your best in jiu-jitsu or anything else, you need confidence. I'm going to explain in this video why you need confidence. I'm going to explain how confidence works, and I'm going to explain ways you can get confidence. So why should you listen to me? Well, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 27 years. I've been coaching and running the academy for over 20 years. I have successful students. I have several guys that have become masters, ibjjf masters world champions. A 7-time ibjjf masters world champion. I've won, I think, the European champions masters 7 times. I think Pan masters 9 times, something like that. So we have a lot of success. And, you know, back in 2000, so I think it was April of 2000, almost 26 years ago, I went down to Kissimmee, Florida for the Pans. We called it the Pan Ams back then, but now they call it the Pans. And I got there 2 or 3 days early because we had a whole team competing. And I was so anxious, so nervous, it just left me miserable. So I had 2 or 3 days of just being miserable for the whole day, all day long. And I just realized that I can't let this stand. This is brutal. This is awful. Like, I really love jiu-jitsu and I want to compete, but dealing with this anxiety is just awful. So I just set out and determined to find a way to get rid of it and how to deal with it. So for 26 years, I've been studying it. If you mention a book about sports psychology or something to this effect, I'm sure I probably read it and digested it. So I've consumed a huge amount of information about this, and it made a big difference for me. Helped me deal with my anxiety, it helped me compete, it helped me become very successful. So that's why I have some good information for you today. Now, when you go to compete, or even if you're training in the gym, if you're not confident, you're likely to have some nervousness or anxiety. So the problem with this is you need the right level of excitement or arousal to compete in a sport in the best way possible. You can look at this on a bell curve. Some people and some activities need very low arousal. Other activities, maybe powerlifting or something like this, you want a very high state of arousal. For jiu-jitsu, it's somewhere in the middle, and it probably varies from individual to individual. But if you're not confident, you're likely to be overexcited, and you're likely to be nervous. You're likely to have some anxiety. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, a couple things. You're going to waste a lot of energy. You're probably going to over grip. You're going to be tight, so you're not going to move as well. So you're not going to have your normal coordination, your normal athleticism. You're way more likely to gas out when you're nervous like this. So that's the first problem with not having confidence. Is you're going to waste energy. You're going to gas yourself out. The other problem, when you're not confident, you're more likely to feel self-conscious. So you could start your match and you start worrying about if you're going to embarrass yourself. You'll think about, what is your coach thinking about you? What are your teammates thinking? Your friends and family? And when you're self-conscious like that, now you're not focusing on the things you need to focus on. What you need to be is externally focused. You need to focus on your opponent. What are they doing? How are they standing? The whole environment. Are we near the out of bounds? How much time is left of the match? You need to be focused on the match. Mostly your opponent and the other elements of the environment and of the match. When you're feeling self-conscious, at least part of your mind is someplace else, and you're not going to have your best performance. So those are the 2 main ways lack of confidence is going to kill your performance. The other way is you're going to hesitate when you don't have confidence. So what do I mean by that? Well, in jiu-jitsu, scoring opportunities will open up. So there'll be a window of opportunity for you to score. And when that window opens, it's also going to close. So if you hesitate, it may close and that opportunity may be gone. So when those windows of opportunity open, you want to be able to jump in, pull the trigger, and act. And when you're competing against a skilled individual, or even if you're competing with somebody who's at the same level of skill as you are, that window is going to close relatively quickly. So if you hesitate, you're going to miss those opportunities. And when you're missing scoring opportunities, you don't score, you're likely not going to win your match. You're not going to have a good performance when you hesitate. So why do we hesitate in the first place? This is a good question. So the reason why we hesitate is if we're not sure of the outcome, we're often going to not spend the energy. So here's a fact. All humans, and actually all mammals, they have a chip in their brain that wants to conserve energy. Yeah, so we're basically all have a lazy chip. And it's a very important. If you ask evolutionary biologists or evolutionary psychologists, why do we have this conservation of energy chip in our brain? And they would tell you it's an adaptive trait. What that means is, animals or people, individuals who have this trait, they are more likely to survive and replicate, survive and reproduce than people who don't have this characteristic. It's very simple. It helps us survive. So think about if you were in a Stone Age situation and there was some food source or some other important resource that was 100 yards away in this direction, and there was the same resource 200 yards in another direction. Well, if you don't choose the closer one, if you don't conserve your energy, you're not going to survive as well, and you're not going to be able to reproduce. There's an interesting TV show, it's called Alone. I don't know if you've seen it, but here's how it works. They take some individuals and they put them by themselves in the wilderness. It's usually in Alaska or up in northern Canada, and they drop these people into the wilderness and they give them something like 17 different items, maybe some sort of fishing line or hooks, some tools, things like this. And now these individuals all have training. They need to build their own shelter and they need to find their own food. So they drop them in there and sometime in the fall, and the winner is the person who lasts out there the longest. So they can quit at any time. So they have like a radio or some kind of signal where they can get rescued almost immediately and somebody will come in and take them out. So the person who wins this show is the person, and it's on several seasons, the one who wins is the one that gets the most calories. So they bag an elk, or one guy I think got a musk ox. So somebody gets a lot of calories, and usually a lot of fat. Fat is important. And also the people who conserve their energy a little bit too. In one episode, there was some guy early on who, I don't know what he was thinking about. There was a really tall hill near him, and he said, I'm going to climb to the top of that for inspiration. I mean, in a survival situation, that is completely dumb. So he wasted who knows how many calories and how much time too, climbing up there and coming back down. Needless to say, that guy didn't last very long in the show. He got eliminated. So conserving your energy and getting calories, in that situation, every calorie is completely precious. Another way to look at the show is the people who won that show gathered the most fat, actually. So of all the sort of macros people talk about, carbs, protein, and fat, when you look at the show, fat seems like the most important macro. Each gram of fat has twice the calories that a carb or protein does. There's some people out there who gather berries and things like this, and maybe they catch some rabbits, but apparently rabbits don't have a lot of fat on them, and they can't survive. So it's the big fatty animal that somebody gets that allows them to survive. They have great skills otherwise as well. They have good hunting skills, and the person who makes a shelter, that's not too much. So they got to make a shelter that's going to help them survive the winter. But other people who lose on the show start off building some incredibly elaborate structure. And what happens is they just exhaust themselves. They waste too much energy and they overbuild. So they're not conserving their energy. They're making mistakes. So we all have that chip in our head where we want to conserve energy. All your ancestors have had that chip. And if they didn't have it, you probably wouldn't be here. So we all have this where we're looking to conserve energy when we can. And that's where we hesitate. We don't want to jump through the window of opportunity because we don't think we're going to make it through. There's something that happens to humans. We're always calculating a cost-benefit analysis for any action that we do. Any action we're going to take at an unconscious or a conscious level, your brain is thinking, is this worth it? Is this action going to help me survive and reproduce? If not, you're not likely to take the action. That's why hesitation creeps in. Now, I'm going to tell you ways to create confidence for yourself. So the simplest way to create confidence for yourself, if you feel it lacking, is to visualize yourself succeeding. Visualize yourself with some success. So many years ago, probably 25 years ago, I was training with a guy who had a really good guard. He had better jiu-jitsu skills than me. He had more experience. And I would come in to class and I would try to pass this guy's guard. I could not pass his guard. So this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it got to the point where I would be just muttering to myself, I can't pass this guy's guard. I can't pass this guy's guard. And then I realized, man, I'm talking myself into this that I can't pass his guard. I'm sort of brainwashing myself. So I came up with a plan and I said, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to brainwash myself into passing his guard. So I started telling myself, you can pass his guard, then you can pass his guard. And then I started visualizing me. I had to think like, how could I probably do it? What would the strategy? And I came up with some strategy and I visualized myself doing it and having success. So I sort of used some affirmations, but I also used a lot of visualization where I was actually passing this guy's guard. So then after doing this for a couple of weeks, I went in and I trained with him and I passed his guard. It wasn't easy, but I had to put in a full, complete effort to pass this guy's guard, but I did it. And if I hadn't done that visualization and affirmation, I would not have passed his guard. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't magic. Just because you visualize it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But what we're trying to do is get to our best performance that we can do. And what I was doing before when I was getting discouraged is I had 1 foot on the brake. So if you get 1 foot on the brake, you're not going to reach your full potential. You're not going to maximize your performance. So by visualizing my success, telling myself that I could pass this guard, I at least took my foot off the brake. And then I had much better performance. And in this case, I actually passed this guy's guard. So that's an excellent way to create some confidence for yourself. Now you might be thinking, and I've had some athletes who are like this, where they say to themselves, yeah, that's not going to work for me. I can't bullshit myself. If I don't think I can pass somebody's guard, I'm not going to tell myself I can. And I can't even visualize it. So if you're one of those types, or even if you're not, here's another tactic for you, another technique. So what I want you to do is visualize yourself in the struggle and you persist and you keep fighting. You keep trying to do the next thing. What you want to do is get yourself in a position where you're going to give a full and complete effort. So even if you don't know if you can pass the guy's guard, but if you put in a full and complete effort, if you override that hesitation that you're going to naturally have, then you're going to have your best performance. And again, that's what we're looking for, our best performance. So visualize yourself winning if you can. Tell yourself you're going to win if you can. If you can't, visualize yourself fighting and giving a good struggle, not quitting, persevering, doing the next thing, and just not quitting and giving a full and complete effort. If you do that, you're going to maximize your performance. So those are 3 things that are definitely going to help you maximize your performance. Remember, you need confidence. You really want to have positive expectation. There's a famous quote from Henry Ford. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So we want to come up with some strategies to get our foot off the brake. Here's a hypothetical. If I told you, I'll give you $1 million if you, with just your hands, pick up this fire truck, and it's a real life fire truck. Well, you wouldn't even try because that's not possible. I'm not going to do it. So if you think something's not possible, you're just not going to invest any energy in it. So we have to find a way to think that it's possible. So here's another. So the strategy that came up so far: visualize your success, use affirmations. If you can't do that, at least visualize a full and complete effort. Here's another tactic that you can use: gather evidence. So, if your unconscious is always having this cost-benefit analysis going on, it's like a judge, and your own mind, your own brain and unconscious are a judge saying, I don't know if this guy can do this. Can he do it? Is it going to be worth trying? So what you need to do is you need to be your own attorney. You have to be your own lawyer and gather evidence for why you're going to succeed. So here's a thing that's happened to me in the past. Sometimes I'll compete in the open weight division and I'll have to go against larger athletes, or sometimes I'll just enter the ultra heavyweight, and I usually compete at middleweight. So I'm going against a much bigger athlete. And at times then I'll have that little devil on my shoulder saying, look at the size of that guy. He's so strong. This is going to be too tough. I don't think I can do this. So when I start having that feeling, I gather evidence. And here's some of the evidence. I think, wait a minute, you've competed at ultra heavyweight before against some pretty big, strong guys, and you've won. You've beaten these guys. So you have beaten much larger opponents before. So that's a piece of evidence that I'm going to present to my mind in order for me to start building my case. Or I'll think about some guy in training. Oh yeah, there's this young guy, Joe's like 250 pounds. He can deadlift over 600 pounds. And I can roll with him. I can compete with him. These guys can't deadlift 600 pounds. They're not as big and strong as athletic as Joe is. So that gives me some more evidence, and I can start to put my case together, and I can start to find my confidence, which is what we're doing here. We need our confidence in order to have our best performance. So visualize success, affirmations, at least visualize a full and complete effort. Gather your evidence. Find reasons why you're going to win. You know, you have all these thoughts. You know, I mentioned there's a devil on your shoulder. Sometimes there's an angel on your shoulder, but there's all these thoughts going on in your mind pretty much all the time. And these negative thoughts come up. You can't stop them from coming up, but what you can do is you can control your focus of attention. Think of it like a flashlight, and you're going to direct that focus of attention where you want to serve you. So I'm going to put it on, oh, that evidence that tells me I'm going to do well here. That's where I'm going to focus it on. I'm not going to focus it on the doubts and things that cause me to lose confidence. So that's exactly what you want to do. Focus on where it's going to help you. I have one more trick that I use. So I've used this one for a few years now. This is something I came up with myself, and it makes my competing experience so much better, so much more enjoyable. And it's super simple. I think you can make it work for you. So here's what I do. Anytime I have a negative thought, let's say the day of the competition, and I think, gee, my knee feels funny, or like, oh, I feel kind of tired today. Any negative thought, I don't allow it to rest in my attention at all. So I banish it from in front of my mind. So I'll literally address it as if it was a person or something, and I say, get the fuck out of here. And I say it to myself, but I use that kind of intensity and that kind of emotion. I'll say, fuck off. And I'm at the point now where I literally don't let it sit there for half of a second, and I banish it. So I can't stop them from coming up, but if I banish them, they have much less effect on me. And then I can just enjoy my experience, focus on the positive things. You know, sometimes you sign up for a tournament 2 months out, and just when you start thinking about the future, start thinking about, oh, I'm going to be competing. Oh, wow, I wonder how good these guys are. You can start having anxiety and negative thoughts. I don't do that anymore. So even if it's way ahead of the tournament, negative thought comes up, I just say, fuck off, get out, man. And I don't allow it to linger. So that's something I can control. I can't control having the thoughts, but I can control my attention and how long I let it linger in front of me. So, and I have some students, and they've tried this as well. So I think this is a useful technique. You should give it a try. And if you have any other questions about confidence or dealing with anxiety and competing, or even anxiety in the gym, just put it in the comments or send me a message and let me know.